that everyone has two lives, and when you realize you only have one life, your second one starts. That's one of the most profound, impactful things that I ever had. So I would write that there.
And it's so true, Jay. And the earlier you can figure that out in life, the better. Because it took me a long time for me to figure that out. When you are young,
Same thing, yeah.
when you are going strong, you think you're going to be like that forever. And all of a sudden you have white hair and one white beard. And where did my time go?
This podcast is brought to you by ISU Corp. Are you having trouble with your software projects? Is there a project that's taking too long or a technology you can't handle? We can help. We are ISU Corp, experts in custom software since 2005. With almost 20 years of experience, we can solve any technical problem from new businesses to satellite software. We've done it all. Let us turn your ideas into reality. Learn more about how we can help by visiting us at www.isucorp.ca. Your solution starts here.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Leaders in Tech. This is the podcast where we're shining the light on leaders in technology that are really making this world a better place, but the technologies they are producing through inspiration and servant leadership. Today we have with us Jay. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Hello, David. Thank you so much for having me.
Jay, for the audience, can you give me your full name? Where do you live and what do you do for a living?
Absolutely. My full name is Jay Gopalan. I live in Dallas. I work as a CTO for a company called NOBL Q. We specialize in Salesforce, ServiceNow, and SAP kind of systems, and we also help our clients with the AI and data as well. So we have our own products and accelerators, and also we help them with the implementation. So kind of end-to-end solution for our clients.
So implementation of CRM systems
everything. So yes. So think about this, right? Like, so I mean, we are not at that level of Accenture or PwC, but our target is mid-market and early enterprise kind of a companies, and we help them in terms of SAP, Salesforce, and ServiceNow are the three major areas we focus. We also focus on few other things like acumen, which is another upcoming ERP. On top of this, we also help our clients with AI and data-related solutions. So we technically clients come to us, especially like clients who wanted to leverage the latest technologies. They come to us, we consult them, we implement things for them, and also we implement our accelerators and products onto their systems and integrate with them so that their go-to-market will be much faster.
Beautiful. And how many employees in total in the company?
We have about 1,100 right now.
Isn't that amazing that you have all these large consulting firms that people know about, and then you have these tiny companies, but nobody knows that there is a big mid-market sector that is in the services industry inside technology, and you're a clear example of that. And the market is so big that for me, it's just amazing to get to know other companies like yours that are really thriving, that are really pushing the envelope, and they don't get afraid by going against Accenture, against all these big guys, right?
Absolutely, and thanks for shedding a light on us. So it's really helpful as well. So to give a perspective, right? Like a lot of our apart from the big enterprises which can afford to obviously go with Accenture and other companies, mid-market and early less than 2 billion kind of range. They wanted to leverage AI, and obviously they already have systems in Salesforce, SAP kind of a system they already have. They wanted to kind of bring in everything. Obviously Salesforce as an AI, SAP as an AI as well. So we kind of integrate. We don't compete with those things. We kind of integrate all of these things together. And obviously we do see a lot of gaps in it. That's where we are filling in as well. So people, especially companies who wanted to do innovation, and a lot of times, some companies they come, oh, I want to use GenAI. First thing is, hold up, wait a minute. Tell us your use case, because GenAI is not a solution for everything. Obviously, GenAI has a potential, but it is definitely not a solution for many things. Like, you can't do, because more of like, probabilistic. In some use cases, you might want to have a deterministic models rather than probabilistic. So we guide them towards the right direction, and we had built accelerators to connect all of this integration, and we deploy them so that they could quickly see the ROI on their side, and they realize that, oh, okay, so these are the ways probably I should leverage AI. And some clients like, oh, I wanted to reduce my workforce, I want to cut costs. Like, well, that might not be the motivation you should have. You should have AI to enhance your offerings, to make it better than your competitors, because going forward, obviously, like companies who don't have these capabilities, like leveraging AI, which is a kind of, I would say, like 100,000x multiplier compared to a traditional software, you should leverage it and then focus on areas where you could add value for your customers, not kind of cutting costs. Things are getting better. Like, people realize that what is AI, what is not AI, where to use AI, where not to use AI, and on various things that comes with that. So that's where our key focus is.
You are completely right, Jay. In fact, I saw such a discrepancy in the business world last year regarding AI that I decided to write a book for business people. It's not a book for tech people. It's a book for business owners, for CEOs, for finance managers, on what AI is and what is it used for, because the confusion is great. And when confusion comes in, fear comes in, and they say either we need to use AI for everything, or I don't know what that is, I don't care. And the both extremes are bad. So
that's right.
I've been, it's funny because you and I have been in tech for a long time, and the first time I learned about artificial intelligence was in the 90s. It's just now that it's becoming mature enough that it's usable, but the concept actually comes from the 60s.
Absolutely.
Right?
1956,
and right. The evolution was, we started doing, first we were doing reporting, and then we went into data warehousing, and nobody knew what that was. And when we figured out how to do that well, then we went into from data warehousing into business intelligence. And now from business intelligence, we jumped into AI, but really the beginning of reporting is already artificial intelligence. The fact that we could actually automate an if statement and have the computer make a decision, a premeditated decision based on different factors, that's artificial intelligence. Now we have neural networks, and the explosion is that now we can get the computer to learn by itself, to write those if statements by itself. That's the base, right?
Absolutely. You're spot on. And thanks for creating the awareness among business leaders, right? That is very crucial. And obviously that makes a lot of our life easier. So when we go to them, because one of the few things that we spend on early on is kind of an education, like we go through that. Hey, this is how we can leverage AI. Your use cases, like here AI could add more value. Here probably ROI might not be there right now, but it could come down the line, because it depends on the use case. It depends on how ready they are from a maturity level perspective. Like, do they have all the data in there for that, and do they have the right kind of a mindset, even in fact. So we also kind of come up with a kind of a bunch of questionnaires, not exactly questionnaires, but more of creating the awareness. When they go through that, they understand, oh, okay, so these are the things probably, and then they ask a lot of questions. I tried this Gen AI for this use case, and it was beyond the POC, it's not useful, because unlike big guys like Accenture and all, we would be kind of shot down if the product is not working in a production, because nobody gets fired for hiring Accenture, but definitely we are in this one. So for our own thing, we wanted to make sure their product success, their use case gets successfully implemented, they see the ROI. That's why we focus on mid-market to like a slightly larger enterprises, so they understand, and they also willing to work with us. Again, fine, this is the criteria, this is how we wanted to implement, and we see a lot of huge potential of our AI going forward, and we couldn't get people, so that's another struggle.
The market is incredible, and Jay, and that's where the leadership shines. Before we leave the topic of AI, I must say that I'm just amazed on what we have been able to accomplish in technology. And it has been only thanks to leadership and ambition in a positive way, but also knowing that we can figure it out and that we can always push the envelope and we will make it, right? And, I'm a person of faith. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And, my book, the Bible, says that humankind has been made under the image of the Most High God. And God created everything. And He's super intelligent, and He made systems that grow by themselves, right? If you look at everything in existence that has life, anything that is born, grows, reproduces, and dies, no matter how small it is, they have a capacity, either large or limited, on learning and improving, right? And if you look at humankind and computer technology, I'm just amazed because, like, if you think about a brain that is in a piece of it runs on a piece of hardware that can actually teach itself something, regardless of how rudimentary it is right now. It's a remarkable thing that we were able to make because we're made in the Lord's image. So that means that we are creators too. So I remember watching a documentary on AI about 5 years ago. And like in 2019, they were saying that the power of AI was about the same power of the brain of an ant. Okay? But if you look at the ants, they know how to gather stuff in the summer and they know how to hibernate in the winter. They don't die. They are super resilient, and they know how to work in groups, and they don't even have leaders. They just know what to do, and they just improvise and implement, and they can actually foresee the future. That's what we've been able to make. And this is 2019, as you know. The power of AI is that because it's self-learning, we can throw more hardware, more software, we can implement more algorithms, we can create stronger neural networks. So this thing is growing exponentially.
Absolutely, you're spot on that. Yes, and as you said, like 5 years ago, it's a intelligence of an ant, but it's a very specific kind of like what they call is ANI, like artificial narrow intelligence. One of the greatest example is Tesla FSD, one of the that I can feel it every day with that how FSD drives with the AI. Well, we are still scratching the surface of AGI, artificial general intelligence, but we will be there. I'm not an expert in predicting when we would get that, but I heard from few experts on it, and then I was kind of quite amazed. And what it means for coming back to your point, I'm going to steal that point from what Jesus mentioned. How does it going to help individuals, each human? And that's where that's where I'm very upbeat on how this is going to be so much tremendous potential that it has got. It can uplift the quality of everybody's life. Earlier, 5 years ago, if you wanted to get some information, you got to go to multiple apps, open multiple web pages. Now with the flip of this thing, you just talk and then you get everything. Like I use a bunch of tools like Perplexity and other Cohere and other systems where it kind of I used to do a lot of reporting. Now I'm kind of fully automated without any coding. I can get that report, in a much better format with the in-depth content and everything. So these are all phenomenal changes. And as an individual, I'm getting, fully embarrassed. And that also helps me to do my job in a better way. So that's where I see the potential. And I know some people say that AI might lead to some negative things. I kind of doubt that, but I see a lot of potential. I see more positive than negative, which also depends on how it's been applied and other things. So, but I'm definitely upbeat on that.
Jay, technology is just like a knife. You can use it to cut your meat, or you can use it to kill somebody. Isn't it?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's right. How do you apply that matters? Yeah.
I was talking with the CIO for this large company. They do security for email security mostly, but they secure other venues to other channels like Slack. Very large company. And he was saying that the only reason why they are in business is because the bad guys never stop implementing more and more ways to try to hack into corporations. And he says, we just got to be 10 steps ahead of them, and they will never stop.
That's true. And good thing is, technology also make it easier for good guys to catch up without much investment. And like, you don't have to code, you don't know, like, any common person who wanted to use it for good purposes. There you go. Like, you have all the tools available and much more affordable price compared to few years ago.
For sure, Jay. Now, you're in a very important position and you have a lot of people under your belt. And I know that doesn't happen just like that. You must have done something to earn the position where you are, and I want to find that out. So let's jump back in time. Where were you at your last year in high school? What did you want to do with your life? What aspirations did you have?
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, when I was in high school, I thought I'm going to be a doctor. I don't know, for some reason I like doctor. So the reason is like I don't like to take the injections. So like I just said, when I went doctor, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to put it further. So I don't have much idea on like what it is. But later when we got a computer in my high school in early 90s, and then I got somehow hooked up onto that. So I don't know, like I switched. Okay, I know I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer, computer engineer. But I ended up studying electrical engineering. That's a different thing. But like, to be honest, to come to this level, I wouldn't say like, I've done phenomenal success on many things. I spectacularly failed on many things as well. And that's kind of taught me. And two things I would say, that helped me in this career. One thing is I never thought about, becoming a kind of leader or people manager or other kind of things. Like a leader is different from people manager, but I wanted to be in a different spectrum of work. However, when I was in the two learnings I did very early on. When I was I remember it was 4th grade. My teacher once said, he like those days, we used to have those, the chalkboards. Like you use the chalk to write on the board. So he draw a line, and then he brought that eraser, put it next to the chalk, and then said that you have to use you have to reduce this, you have to make this line smaller without erasing it. Then I was kind of looking at the eraser, I was kind of looking at the line. How is it possible? Like, how can I, make it smaller without erasing it? I was kind of, can I use a chalk? Can I use an eraser? And then it's like, do whatever you want, but don't erase it. You can use eraser, but don't erase it. But you have to make it shorter. And at the end, I was like, I don't know how to do that. And then he said, like, he drew a line larger than that line and then made it smaller. That day, I couldn't sleep. The reason being is he mentioned a few things after that. Hey, in your life, you will see a lot of solution right in front of your eyes. It's about the perspective from which you are looking at it. That's when it's going to help you in solving things. The chart, the eraser and all, and whatever I told, it's all distraction. If you want to be successful, you should acquire that perspective on how to look things, because the solution is in front of you right there. It's not something that you are going to invent something new, but you could find and you could enhance it. So that kind of hit me hard. I don't know, when I was 4th grade, like probably like 8 or 9 years old. It kind of hit me very hard, and I was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. Like, I should look in a different perspective. And then in the college once, another professor mentioned that he mentioned about Confucius quote. He said, like, everybody has 2 lives. When you realize you only have 1 life, your second one starts. Again, that day it hit me very hard. Like, wow. So these 2 things, I somehow I kind of always think through that when I have problems, when I have anxiety, when I have things. Somehow these 2 things help me in some fashion or the form. I failed in few things, just before this one, I had a couple of startups I did. After college, I kind of worked for about 16 years in Wall Street, for working on trading systems. That's my bread and butter.
Wall Street?
Yeah, Wall Street.
In what position? What were you doing there?
Mostly developer and implementing systems for trading desk and other things, prime brokerages, typically middle office and back office systems. And then I joined an AI company called the Netomi in Silicon Valley. That's when I got hooked up onto AI in depth. Even though we used machine learning earlier, but I kind of hooked up, and then we implemented the world's first conversational AI and a messenger platform for a movie called Sony. Those are all the unique experiences, and then onwards I kind of went through different phases. Those days it's very hard to build the AI model and scale it. Anyway, long story short, I've in some cases I've failed, and that kind of taught me more. And one thing I realized is leadership is more about, it's about how do you conquer yourself, then you can conquer it. Like controlling yourself is the biggest challenge than controlling the world or anything. So these are the kind of things that kind of helped me go so far. So at this portion, like kind of fortunate enough to work on interesting things and also work with amazing people at NOBL Q and other places. But I have a very fair share of a lot of failures as well.
Yeah, Jay, one of the key factors that the pattern that I see in your life is that you had the humbleness, you had enough humility to realize when you were making a mistake and you were hitting yourself against the wall, and try to figure something out in the other end, right? This idea that you have two lives is profound. I never heard that before. When you realize that you only have one life, you start living your second life. It's true, because then you will stop wasting time and the control factor. It also takes a lot of humility. It took me many years for me to learn that lesson. You think you have a lot of control in your life, but if you really make an inventory and realize how little control you have,
absolutely,
you are going to release all that anxiety and all that stress. Going back to my faith, they were asking Jesus, how do we deal with anxiety? And then he said, nobody in the world is able to add 1 hour to their life, not even 1 hour. And so then he said, if you cannot do this, that is so tiny and simple, why would you worry about the rest?
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely everything else. We have, we need to ask for the wisdom to influence the things we can control, and for the serenity to let go of the things that are not in our control, which is about 99% of the things. But that 1% that we can control will make us or break us. And that's why you're a CTO for this beautiful organization right now.
Thank you. And you are spot on those, what you could control, right? So I remember one other quote from Naval Ravikant. He's one of the angel VC in Silicon Valley. He mentioned that if we can't decide, the answer is no. So that also I kind of take it very near and dear, like any decision making, because leadership is all about decision making and making the right decision for not for yourself, but for the team or for the group or a community, whatever it is. So that's when I kind of look at it. If a lot of times I had problems in deciding, should I do that or not? We make decisions, like especially in tech world, 1,000 things every day, like a lot of decisions. I kind of bring that as a rule of thumb. If something that I should do, or should I postpone it at this one, I think the answer is always no. So that's another important thing that affects me a lot. That give a positive impact a lot for me.
And that must have saved you a lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
And that again, it requires humility, because if you want to get something in life and you're stubborn and you want to get it and it's not for you, and there is a lot of, clearly that is not the right path, if you force yourself way through it, like I have done many times in my life, the other end of that bridge is disaster. It's a bridge that has a cliff at the end.
True.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jay, when was the first time that you were trusted to lead a team?
When I was in, it was 2008, right after the the financial crisis. So I was in Lehman, and the Lehman went down, and then we were kind of like, oh, what's going to happen to us? So first 3 days we didn't know what's going on and things like that. And after that, some part of Lehman, our business, Barclays took over, and that's the first time I was kind of leading a team. Even though I led the team before that, but this is the proper team in terms of full-time employees with not just technology, but I was responsible for a product line in Barclays. So that's a first thing that gave a lot of confidence and a lot of experience for me. And definitely I failed a lot there, but I learned a lot, and thank God I kind of able to at least have a major positive impact for the organization as well.
So was it the Lehman Brothers still, or you moved to another job?
No, Lehman Brothers, part of the Lehman Brothers was bought over by Barclays.
So I see.
So we were part of our middle office systems, and that division was kind of taken over by Barclays. And some part of the Lehman was kind of legacy Lehman. They let it out, and then they were managing it separately.
That is amazing. What did you do to earn that position? Why do you think they saw something in you where you could actually step up and start leading?
To be honest, at that time, I wouldn't call myself as a leader. Like, for example, I could manage few developers, but leader is more than people manager. That's when I'm coming to offer leadership, and you don't have people reporting to you, but you can still be a leader. Leadership is all about creating a next level of leaders, or creating a next generation of people who can able to lead down the line, and also have a positive impact on the community or the group. Before that, even though I kind of had a couple of developers reporting me, I was kind of a team lead and things like that. Those are all predominantly a people management job. Then this is the one that I started having a kind of a culture, started impacting people in a positive way, and also grooming them to become a next level leaders. So that's when I kind of learned a lot as well about what is leadership.
That is fantastic, Jay. In your career as a leader in technology, what has been the most horrible problem that you ever encountered, and how did you get yourself out of it?
So we were we did a lot of things basically, the outcomes of certain things didn't like the way I wanted to be. In one other organization, again working on a prime brokerage division, I was part of that, and then I wanted to have a bigger impact in terms of how these products need to be developed and how it need to be utilized by the traders, and because of various reasons, including partly I probably should have done it in a better way. We couldn't be able to deliver on time, and that's one of the few times I kind of failed. Even though later with the additional budget and overboard and things like that, but that kind of lead to me saying that okay, probably you may not be able to handle this big of a project. That's kind of a thing that lead to. Anyway, again from there I learned a few things okay, it's all learning, and one thing is I'm a more I wait till the end. I don't want to kind of give up as much as I could, even if it fails for me. That's okay. I put extra hours and try to make it the right thing for the community. So that's what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it happened it went in an unfortunate direction. Yeah,
that's good. And I feel that those failures are the ones that make you stronger, right? Once you go through a failure and you figure it out, or even it was a total catastrophe and you survived it, the next time you know how to do better, and you know how to anticipate those problems because you've been through the problems already.
That's right. And one thing I learned is, even if I couldn't anticipate the problem, at least I wouldn't give up because I know that there could be always problem which I don't know how to solve it, or probably I might have to figure it out a way to solve it, which at that point I might not know. But they never wanted to kind of give up. And also another important thing is, and another important quote that I remember is, there is no such person, successful person with a light heart. So they always have a scars on their back. So that's what I believe so.
For sure, Jay. You have a sign in the back of your office. It says Bitcoin. And since we started the conversation, I'm like, wow, it says a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And it looks like it has a lot of the explanation of the high-level architecture.
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts on that, because I was blessed to grow up, to be born in a date and time where technology was beginning to evolve. I'm from the 70s, so I saw the birth of the microcomputer. I saw the birth of Microsoft and Apple and the revolution that happened. But I also saw the birth of the internet, and I think you're like me too, right? And it's a privilege, Jay, because the technology has advanced so much in these last 40 years that if kids were born in the year 2000 or later, they didn't get to enjoy what we have seen, right? They didn't get to enjoy to see that our grandparents or even our uncles came home with punch cards, and we were playing punch cards and making, cardboard cities with them. And little did I know there was compiled software that they brought in right after the compilation was done. and I'm saying all these things because I remember when the internet took power in the late 90s, all the students just started having this peer-to-peer analogy where the distribution of the algorithms and the programs were running in each PC instead of running on a server. And I remember the revolution of Napster and sharing music, and the problem that created for all the artists, because nobody wanted to go and buy a CD anymore because you could just share it on your computer, and they never catch anybody because there was no server. Everybody was a server. Everybody that was part of the chain, right? They had a block in the chain, and of course, what happened. A brilliant man called in all his smarts, and he figured out the problem, and he created a huge profit for Apple. And I'm talking about Steve Jobs, obviously.
Absolutely.
And, with the iPod and with the Apple Store, and he figured it out, and he revolutionized the music industry. But he kept the same concept, right? And then years later, not long later, 8 years later, you have a brilliant person that we don't even know where he is now, and he was fed up with governments printing money. He was fed up with governments taking advantage of people and taxing people without asking them by devaluating the currency. And he took the model of a peer-to-peer music sharing, and he created the concept of blockchain and created Bitcoin, which is now one of the largest assets you can invest on.
Absolutely.
Isn't that amazing? What do you think about that? Isn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's I thank God enough for this, to be born in this era of a humanity. Like you, I'm in the mid 70s born. I've seen from pure nature, without phones, cell phones, and other things, and then see the transformation happening. And like the computer, when I saw the first time, that gave me, wow, this is something amazing. And as if I'm seeing a god, oh wow, this is a wonderful piece of technology, that does magic. And then same thing with the internet. And you're spot on, the Bitcoin is one of the most critical thing, because like any technology enables in the long run. I'm always pessimistic in the short term, but I'm always optimistic in the long term when it comes to technology. So the Bitcoin is one of such category. In the long run, it is having a huge impact in any individuals. some people say that, well, it's not, it's going to go away, things like that. Irrespective of the speculation and things that is happening, it's a truly a piece of technology that gives a lot of leverage for the common man. Like you said, like earlier, the government has the monopoly on money. They can print whatever they want, and without getting into the politics. But any government, for that matter, that's what they do. They print money, they tax people. And somebody was asking, if they can print money out of thin air, why they wanted to tax us? They can just get it out by themselves, right? So, anyway, all those shortcomings are going to be addressed in some shape or form. It could be in this version, or it could be the coming versions. Things is going to happen. But one thing is clear: Bitcoin's policy has been set for the next 100 years. Every 4 years, the halving happens, and everything is going as per the plan, and nobody can change it, nobody can touch it. Exactly. And it's a phenomenon, whether you are a good guy or a bad guy. Its system provides what its core function, provides the three purpose of money. It provides the value. It is acting as a store of value, and also means of transacting, right? So when it comes to Bitcoin, that's when I'm very upbeat on AI and Bitcoin. And I'm not an expert in the predictions, but Balaji Srinivasan, who was the ex-CTO of Coinbase, he created something called network state. I'm a big believer in it, and I do see a lot of potential in terms of how it's going to transform. And a lot of those leverage the common people is going to get, not the states. So that's amazing piece of things, and these are all going to happen in our lifetime. And on the other side, Elon Musk is working on, probably he can take us to Mars. So technology is a wonderful thing that is happening to us, and I'm very, very fortunate to live in this. Thanks to God.
And Jay, going back to the beginning of the podcast, you said that you need to have anybody reporting to you to be a leader. And you're completely right? The inventor of Bitcoin, he was a great leader. I think he still is. I don't think he's dead. And if he's dead, maybe the international banking system was sent to kill him. But this guy created a revolution that everybody followed, and he had no employees. Nobody was reporting to him. One of the greatest leaders in the financial world. And, for example, Michael Saylor, the CEO of this great software company, he says that Bitcoin is digital gold. And so he created an asset class that is uncorruptible. And that's what the beautiful part is on the whole thing. If you have humans managing money, there is always the chance to have corruption. And that's why we are in the state that we are. How can the biggest, most prosperous country in the world, the United States, have over 120% of their GDP in debt? That is ridiculous, right? Because there is corruption, that's why. So when you create a monetary system that is, it's impossible to get it corrupted. Nobody, like the blockchain, because every single one, like I started, right? Because every single participant of the chain has a copy of the ledger. Absolutely nobody can mess with the chain unless they want to be found out, because everybody will find out. Like it's uncorruptible thanks to technology and leadership. And that's why people are buying into it.
Exactly. And that's a very good example. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that one. Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever it is, thanks to him, and he's an amazing leader. That's the kind of leadership. Like, you create an impact, you influence people. You don't have to manage them. That's the greatest example of how the leadership would work. You're spot on that.
Amen to that. It's when I see life-changing leaders and they start adopting these technologies, I'm like, okay, there is something wrong about this. Did you know that the country of El Salvador, one of the smallest countries in the world, they are the only country that adopted Bitcoin as their national currency? And when he did that in 2021, he was criticized left, right, and center, because by January 2023, when they got in, Bitcoin was around $50,000. By January 2023, Bitcoin was at $20,000, and they had lost more than half of the investment, but they never sold. And now he's laughing at them, saying, I told you so. And this is just the beginning. We're between 50 and 60,000. We were 73,000 just a month ago. And I truly believe, because of the halving that you said, because of the limitations, the scarcity model that is built in, just like gold is scarce because it's hard to mine it, it's the same thing with Bitcoin. With the difference that we have a lot of gold in the world. There's only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be minted. And we have 19 million of them already minted. It's going to grow exponentially.
Absolutely. And to be honest, like, there are estimated to be about 15 to 20% of the supply that was out of the 19 was kind of lost because people couldn't able to retrieve the keys and they will be able to get it. But that puts in an even more scarcity. And the higher the value of scarcity, the higher the value it is going to be. So I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to that. And not more in terms of speculating that I could make money, more in terms of how it is going to give common man a leverage down the line that state hold it, have a monopoly on that right now. So that's where that gets more interested. And with the network state, I believe it's going to have an even bigger impact. So we will see how it's going to span out.
Jay, I really am against debt, national debt and personal debt. I know we need to use leverage to grow in life because we live in a debt economy. But if I was ever in charge of some kind of government, I wouldn't mind going into debt to buy Bitcoin to support my economy with Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because they're getting into debt to do the stupid things that never pan out, like bailing out banks, for example. Imagine if, some of that debt, imagine if the new president of the United States will come and say, okay, we're going to buy $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin. And that's going to be the backbone of our dollar. That's it.
Yep.
It's sterilized. No more inflation.
Already kind of one of the current candidate announced it, that he is going to do that. So we will see how it's going to turn out.
Amazing, Jay. Some time has gone by and I want to respect your time. Thank you so much for the interview. Thank you for being such a good leader. I'm going to ask you one last question before we finish the podcast.
Sure.
If you had access to a billboard in front of the busiest highway on earth, what would you write on it?
About myself or about in general?
What would be the best piece of advice that you will tell humanity?
Okay.
That only fits in a billboard.
Understood. I'll go back to this Confucius statement that everyone has two lives, and when you realize you only have one life, your second one starts. That's one of the most profound, impactful thing that I ever had. So I would write that there.
And it's so true, Jay. And the earlier you can figure that out in life, the better. Because it took me a long time for me to figure that out. When you are young, when you are going strong, you think you're going to be like that forever, and all of a sudden you have white hair and one white beard, and where did my time go?
That's true, absolutely true. Great. Thank you so much, David, for having me. It's a wonderful opportunity. It was a pleasure talking to you, and looking forward to talk to you again sometime down the line.
Thank you so much, Jay. God bless you, and I'll see you the next time. Cheers.
All right, take care. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leaders in Tech podcast. Check in next week to keep learning how to use technology and leadership to change the game. See you next time.